Most of my videos have been about the sober living. A lot of the stuff I've witnessed there, a lot of the content that I've recorded was fresh on the plate from opening a sober living. And within about the first year, there was just a ton of stuff. Now I'm seeing a little more of a direction going towards Mormonism, recovering Mormonism. There's some issues that are popping up out there in my life, watching others, my own experiences, and so I have some thoughts on it. I already shared on something else. I don't get a lot of views on this channel. I don't get a lot of likes, but I got a like the other day on one of my Mormon videos just about some of my experiences with Mormonism. None of it's bashing, none of it's negative. I really hope to share some of my experiences outside of the church, just in a way that is beneficial to those who may be finding themselves, maybe they're finding themselves in a situation like mine. I didn't necessarily choose to leave the church. I was more or less kind of kicked out, not from actions of mine, but just naturally through my divorce. I guess I could have gone back, but the experience that I had was just so, I can't put a single word to it, but nothing about it said jump right back in the middle of church, because there's so many intricate answers there for my life. I mean, there just wasn't. Like, I was searching for answers specifically related to what happened with my marriage, my marriages, my life. Like, what is this cyclical problem I'm having? And the church just couldn't give me the answers, man. That's the reality. There's a lot of stuff that's provided. As long as you stay inside this framework, everything will be okay. And there's truth to many of the principles in there. And in that, unfortunately, life's just not that simple. I wish it was. And it works for some people where you just stay within the framework of the church, and then you and your family, as long as you drink the Kool-Aid fully and subscribe to all the doctrine and the philosophies and the every bit of it, you can have some cohesiveness with your family. And, heaven forbid somebody decides to leave. Now all of a sudden you don't get to see them, not only in this life, but in the afterlife. And there's this massive polarity and destructive behavior that happens. I mean, it's just, I've toned all that down outside the church. It's what I see a lot of people do is they go out, they drink, they drug, that ruins everything. Now they find themselves weakened. They go back into the church because they need to get strong again, and they think that the church has the answers. They dive right back into shame and guilt mode that the church seems to, be conducive with. And it's a big, ugly cycle. But this video specifically, I want to talk about tithing, my perception of tithing. I saw this guy on Facebook today. Like, this is just, I don't know if he was joking or serious, but the guy was commenting on someone else's page, and this person was asking about a good budgeting app. This person wanted to get more into budgeting this year. And I really don't even know these people. Like, somehow we're connected on Facebook, but just coincidentally, I scrolled through the comments. I was going to throw in my 2 cents as far as what I use for budgeting. I just use Mint, and it's great. And some guy puts this comment. He says, as long as you pay your tithing. This is a Mormon dude, clearly. These people were from Utah, so I think it's safe to assume it's Mormon, but even if it wasn't, it's still a stupid thing to say. This guy's like, just pay your tithing, everything else will be fine. And maybe it was tongue-in-cheek, maybe it wasn't. But I've heard dumb stuff like this from the Mormon church and Mormons who really are diehard about it. And they're like, as long as you pay tithing, you don't need to worry about anything else. Well, Dave Ramsey doesn't say that. As far as I know, he advocates for tithing and budgeting as well, and other activities that are conducive to getting out of debt and eliminating debt and interest, and working towards financial freedom. So just a simple statement of pay tithing, everything will be fine is very ignorant and misleading stuff like that. I used to believe growing up, as long as I do this, everything will be okay. And if it's not in this life, it's in the next life. So I just do it blindly. I never question it. Okay. My philosophy and my experience with tithing, I believe tithing is very important and very beneficial to all of us. I think you should give 10% of what you make, or your time. There's other ways to tithe. So this is just my opinion. This is what I'm doing. I believe in donating financially, but not to the church, not to a church that takes my donations, my 10% of my income, and requires that, and then puts it to whatever they think, whatever they deem appropriate. Like, I don't like that. I know enough about members of the church and leaders that they're humans like everyone else. Like, maybe I don't agree with investments they make. Maybe I don't agree with all of it. So all my tithing has to go to that. So that's the difference. Like, I think a Mormon that's diehard in the religion still is going to define tithing as 10% of your income going to the church specifically. That's tithing. My definition of tithing is your time, your money, could be other things too, but tithing is very important. I think it's an age-old principle, a universal principle. Give back so you can keep it. I think that's something that I believe in, with my time, my effort, my money. So I do it, but I don't give it to a church. And if I'm not opposed to giving my money to a church as long as I wholeheartedly believe in the cause and what they do with it, and I like what they're doing. So maybe someday I'll give money to the church. Like I said, I'm not mad at the church. I have no strong issue with it. I guess I do. Like, the more I get outside of the Mormon church, the more I just realize, like, I see a lot of things that are actually destructive rather than constructive. And I see a lot of elements to the church that create division and like these simple, just pay your tithing and everything will be okay. That's not accurate. Just do family home evening on Mondays. Everything will be okay. No, not really. To the guys, just don't ever masturbate. Everything will be fine. No, that's a dumb thing to say, especially to my teenage son. Telling a teenager to not masturbate, and if he does, he's going to hell. This is just ridiculous. And I know the church has probably toned that down a little bit, but there's always this big scary interview process around, with young men and young women in the church, where you go into this closed door interview, and they don't even do closed door anymore. Thank goodness. Because I wouldn't, my son still goes with his mom, and that's one thing I would never allow nowadays, but apparently they don't do it anymore. But we'd go in there, and really the whole thing came down to, do you touch yourself? It's just dumb. These things, so that then you feel like you're doing something wrong. There's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and those are low vibrations. That's something. If you ever listen to Dr. David Hawkins, he talks about low vibrations, higher vibrations, love, and things like that are higher vibration. Shame, guilt, very low. Right down there near, hatred is actually higher than shame and guilt. Anyways, Dr. David Hawkins, good stuff on frequency and vibrations. So outside the church, there's a lot of principles that I still adhere to and live by, just through my own experience as far as what actually works for me, what is beneficial to me and others, the others that depend on me making good choices. Get outside the church. A lot of you they just go crazy. And what happened with me is I have a deep 12-step recovery background, and that's what came out of me. Dr. Wayne Dyer says when you squeeze an orange juice comes out. So when you're squeezed, what's inside of you comes out. I was squeezed in this last divorce, and what came out of me was recovery stuff. I dove into helping other people, started up Simplify Recovery, and I feel like Simplify Recovery is kind of taking a direction into more helping recovering Mormons. Honestly, I see a lot of pain, a lot of suffering involved in people who are really trying to drink the Kool-Aid and adhere to all the Mormon stuff, and it's just not quite working for them like it was for me. There's a lot of it that's good. There's a lot of it that's just not so good and not effective. And so where do you go? Where do you go to find what it is? And I live, my other video, I talk about it very comfortably in an agnostic mindset. Like, I don't care and I don't know. I had a brother ask me not too long ago, like, well, do you believe that Jesus Christ is the blah, 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 blah? I said, I don't know. I love a lot of the principles of Jesus Christ, but I don't know. And I don't care to debate it. That's where I live. Anyone or anything that has good advice or principles or teachings, I'm very open to it, and I listen to it, and I absorb what I like. I discard what I don't. Same thing, do you believe Joseph Smith is the blah, blah, blah? Like, I don't know. And I don't care. I don't care to debate it. I think there's a lot of things that prove that there's a lot of credibility to the guy and the movement. And there's a lot of other things that are just like, I don't know. I don't, like, I just don't care to debate it. I don't know. Same thing as with God in general. I know there's a God. I know it's there. I know there's something. There's a source. There's a creator. There's a beautiful, wonderful thing that we all can go to and have access to. And I go there all the time. I pray every night. I've done it a little more. I've changed it a little bit since leaving the church, but it's a very positive, good, effective prayer for me. And that's what works. It's simple. It works for me. And am I so bold as to claim that I know exactly what it is that I'm praying to? No way. First verse in the Tao, the Tao, Tao Te Ching, I'm sure I'm destroying that, says the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. So in other words, that's what I believe. We can't comprehend God. So why try? I think it's very egotistical. I saw a lot of that in the Mormon church. Guys walking around like, well, God told me this, God told me that. And then they'll convey it because they have, more authority than we do, or the keys that I don't have, and better access to God. And it's ridiculous. So I get this trickle down version through a guy that is more worthy than I am. And I believed that for a long time. Now I don't. I don't. I put everyone, because you're a human, in human form, which means you're fallible. You're going to let me down somehow, which is totally cool. My kids are going to let me down. Everyone's going to let me down. We're all human. I'm going to let you down. We're all going to let each other down. It's impossible. So maybe some people are more spiritual than me. Cool. Let's see how we can help each other. But don't do this, I know more than you do, and you don't. And if you do, cool. Help me out. Teach me. If I know more than you, I'll share with you my information. You can sift through it and decide what you want to keep and what you want to discard. But in the Mormon church, there's just a lot of this, you have to believe specifically in these things. And if you don't, you just keep coming back until you do. And then once you do, there's a hierarchy, and there's this, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, I see a lot of destruction coming out of that, a lot of pain, a lot of confusion. And the scary part is the answers aren't black and white out there. But I think the only place you can find true answers that are black and white is just through principles, good, solid, foundational principles. And again, circling it back and wrapping it up, tithing is definitely a universal principle that I do believe in that works. It's one of many. Integrity, great principle. Work ethic, great principle. Go down the list. Maybe I'll do a list of principles that I think work. I don't know. But I know I was all over the place. I just want to do this stuff while I'm thinking about it. I hope this helps somebody else out there struggling with, really the Mormon church. And, don't start drinking. Don't start drugging, man. You get outside the church. If you need a support group, if you need some help, you're welcome to reach out to me anytime. I'll, share anything I can with you. I'm happy to help in any capacity. All right. Thanks. Bye.